tonight. Yeah! You know, I should tell you that I drove here tonight. Did that frighten you? No, seriously, more people are more surprised that I drive than the fact that I have cerebral palsy. One afternoon, I was 17. I decided that I was going to go driving with a learner's permit without an adult in the car, you know. I drove to the post office to pick up my parents' mail because I thought if I'm going to do something illegal, I might as well do something really nice too. And I looked in the rearview mirror, thought, oh my God, there's a police car. And it's behind me and it's flashing lights. Pull over! So I pulled over. Now this is the irony of my life. When I picked up the mail that afternoon, in that mail was my actual legitimate driver's license. So the cop pulls me over and he asked to see my license. I gave it to him. He looked at it and he said, ma'am, you haven't had this very long, have you? And I said, well, I've had it for about 10 minutes. And he said, you've had it for at least 15 because that's how long I've been following you. Then he said, now I want you to walk a straight line. I started laughing. And I said, officer, I've never walked a straight line in my life. What makes you think I'm going to do it for you? And then how many of you remember Facts of Life? Facts of Life have an amazing time. One of the things that I was asked to do repeatedly were celebrity sports events. Go figure. To raise money for charity, but every time they booked me on one of these things, they'd never have me play sports. And I said to my friend Kelly, they won't let me do anything. She said, well, what are you telling me for? You want sympathy? I said, yeah, that would be nice. Well, I'm not giving it to you because you're not proactive. Nobody can read your mind. Go up to the producer and tell him you want to play sports. Okay, I will. So I walked up to him and I said, sir, I'm really flattered that you have me back again, but you know, all I do is I sit here for 2 days and have cerebral palsy for 2 days. And I know I do that well. But I want to play sports. And he said, well, what can you do? I said, well, I can play tennis. Really? Are you any good? Yeah. Yeah. I didn't want to tell him no. And one of the reasons I have accomplished what I've accomplished in my life is I've always seen where I want to go in my mind and I go there. I always create the vision. And all I saw that afternoon was a little tennis match on the side just to be involved. That's all I saw. I did just a little game. I didn't care if I was playing Gary Coleman. Well, the producer said, well, let me think about it, I'll get back to you. That night, under my hotel room door was a note informing me that I had to be out on court day at 8 a.m., that I was playing doubles with John McEnroe, Arthur Ashe, and Dr. Ruth for ABC Wide World of Sports. Needless to say, I didn't sleep that night. I was out practicing. The next morning, I introduced myself to my partner, John McEnroe. He was nervous. I remember he came up to me and he said, Geri, John. Geri. John. Do you mind if I see you serve, before we go on the air? Let me see what you're going to do. I said, John, just relax. And I threw the ball up in the air, and I missed it. I did this 6 times. Now he can't even make eye contact with me. His eyes were cast down to the court, and he said, Geri, I know that this has nothing to do with your disability. I said, John, you're in denial. It has everything to do with my disability. And he was so relieved. He said, you know. I said, yeah, I had a clue. Then you won't be offended if I kind of serve all the balls for our team, because ABC Wide World of Sports is only an hour show. I said, John, I won't be offended. I gotta level with you. I don't really know a whole hell of a lot about this game. I'm assuming that Dr. Ruth is involved in the foreplay part of it. I said, you can serve all the balls. In fact, why don't you play both sides of the court, and I'll sit over here and have cerebral palsy. I deal with a lot of ignorance about disability all the time. Sometimes it has nothing to do with me. About 21 years ago, and that's not that long ago, I was at a restaurant here in LA with a friend of mine, Kathy, who's deaf. She had a hearing dog. Manager wouldn't let us in the restaurant. Hey, get that dog out of here. I said, excuse me, sir, my friend Kathy is deaf, and that dog hears for her. Oh. And then he looks at me, he stares at the dog, he looks at Kathy, he smiles at me, and he says, that's a good one, you guys. Take the fake harness off. Get that dog out of here. I said, excuse me? You heard what I said. She doesn't look blind to me. I said, read my lips. She is deaf, and apparently you are too. I know why you're confused. You're thinking of the seeing eye dog. Well, this is like a seeing eye dog, only it went to a different school. And he said, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. Come on in. Go into that booth over there. I'm so sorry. He was so embarrassed. We go into the restaurant. Andy went under the table. Andy's the dog, not the manager. And I realized out of the corner of my eye that he was speaking to the waitress who was going to serve us. And he said, over there in booth 7, there's a dog under the table. Now act normal. The woman on the right is deaf, and that dog hears for her. Don't forget it. I'm not sure about the woman on the left. She came over to the table. She took my order first. Then she lifted up the tablecloth. She said, what will your master want for dinner? She showed him the menu. I mean, at that point, it's getting really embarrassing because she's showing Andy the menu. Kathy's under the table reading her lips. Now I gotta go under the table. So we're all under the table. And I said, excuse me, by the way, that's Andy, this is Kathy, I'm Geri. And we have never met anybody quite as sensitive as you. And we appreciate your sensitivity. And we take full responsibility for this. This is so funny, we haven't taught Andy how to read yet. 2002, I'm standing in line. And this man turned around, he said, oh my God, are you Geri Jewell? Yeah, well, yeah, I am. And he said, well, I'm a huge fan of yours. And I said, well, thank you. No, I mean, you've made me laugh. You've inspired me. I love you. And I said, thank you. And all the while he's talking to me, I'm thinking, yeah, that was that life. He said, you want a television series? And I said, wait a minute, this is a pharmacy, right? Yeah, in case you don't recognize me, my name is David Milch. The executive producer of NYPD Blue? He said, yep. I said, well, Mr. Milch, I'm flattered that you like my work, but I'd make a real shitty cop. He said, no, I just signed a contract with HBO. I'm doing a new Western called Deadwood. You want to do a Western? And I looked up as far as my titanium neck would let me. I said, God, you have a real quirky sense of humor. I'm standing here with cerebral palsy, a titanium neck, dependent on Botox, and David Milch wants me to ride a horse. The moral of that story, ladies and gentlemen, is that life has ebbs and flows, yins and yangs. Life can be very difficult sometimes where we think we can't go on. And you know what? You gotta always, always believe in yourself. Because even when I busted my neck and had to start all over, I always had a little pilot light inside of me that I never let out. Don't ever let your pilot light go out, and don't let somebody put it out. Reach your dreams. Do what my mom always said. You have to try. You never know what you can do unless you try. Never give up on reaching your dreams, and never underestimate the power of the human spirit. Thank you, and God bless.
Geri Jewell, everybody, make some noise for her. The amazing Miss Geri Jewell.